So, one point, Steve Earle was the most popular non-American singer in Canada. Now, Guitar Town and X Zero with Someday I Ain't Never Satisfied, Guitar Town drew a lot of interest. But this song in that rebel year of 1988, where Canadians were getting more strength as a nation and fighting against the Mulroney government, a lot of us use it as a theme song. And actually, this theme song was a theme song for the firemen in the North Shore of New Brunswick in 1989, were putting out that deliberately set fire that almost torched half of Restigouche East and burned over 3,000 hectares. My dad said that while they were trying to get out of the fire break, they put Copperhead Road on as a music to escape the fire. Now, Copperhead Road, again, is a song written and recorded by Steve Earle, released in 1988 as the first single and title track from his third studio album of the same name. Now, we kind of got away from what he called rebel country with this one, but more of a rock aesthetic. The song reached number 10 on the U.S. Billboard Mainstream Rock Tracks chart, and it was Earle's highest-peaking song to date on that chart in the States. The song sold more than 1 million digital copies in the United States as of September 2017. Ironically, Steve Earle is sort of like a center-left. On April 20th, 2023, the Tennessee General Assembly passed an act recognizing the song as the 11th official state song of the state of Tennessee. Now, again, country rock, outlaw country category, 4 minutes and 29 seconds, with Tony Brown as a co-producer. Now, the song's narrator is named John Lee Pettimore III, whose father and grandfather were both active in moonshine making and bootlegging in rural Johnson County, Tennessee. Pettimore's grandfather visited town only rarely in order to buy supplies for a still he had set up in a holler along Copperhead Road. Pettimore's father hauled the moonshine to Knoxville each week in an old police cruiser he bought at a surplus auction. According to the family story, a revenue man once confronted John Sr. on Copperhead Road, intent of apprehending him for his moonshine activities, but never returned. John Jr. himself was killed in a fiery car crash on the same road while driving to Knoxville with a weekly shipment. Now, Pettimore in the song, this all happens in 4 minutes and 30 seconds, enlists in the Army on his birthday, believing he will be drafted, and serves 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. Draftees served for 2 years, volunteers served for 4. Once he returns home, he decides to use the Copperhead Road land to grow marijuana, using seeds from Colombia and Mexico. He resolves not to be caught by the DEA using techniques learned from the Viet Cong. Now, Copperhead Road is composed mostly in D with a chord pattern of D-G-D. Now, the song Copperhead Road, so it is like a throwback to the Eagles, a little bit throwback to Waylon Jennings. And ironically, I Ain't Never Satisfied. Waylon Jennings is the main person who throws like an antique electric guitar into the fire. And we thought that was going to be peak of his career because he had drug problems. We all know that. Now, Copperhead Road was an actual road near Mountain City, Tennessee, in an area known to locals as Big Dry Run, although it has since been renamed Copperhead Hollow Road, owing to the theft of road signs bearing the song's name. The song inspired a popular line dance, has been used as the theme music for the Discovery Channel's reality series Moonshiners. In May 2024, a landmark consisting of a 3-photograph panorama of Copperhead Road and a 1949 Dodge sedan painted as a mural were unveiled and are on display in Watauga Lake Winery, which is located nearby the song's namesake road. Now, the song's blend of country and southern rock has influenced several artists of the common day and also his contemporaries, including Travis Tritt, Eric Church, Brothers Osborne, Chris Stapleton, who I think is very, very overrated, and Jason Aldean. The song's lyrics inspired the 2008 novels Gods of Howell Mountain by Taylor Brown. Now, the music video was directed by Tony Vanden Ande and premiered in the early 88, very big in Quebec as well. We're talking about different charts. Now, in Australia, on the charts, 23. Canada, top 12. UK singles, number 45, and went top 10 in US Billboard mainstream rock tracks. How was this mainstream rock? I don't know. Now, in 2021, on Canada's digital song sales was number 2, and number 15 on the US Hot Rock and Alternative Songs on Billboard. Now, in 2018, American metal band Devil Driver recorded a song on their last album, a version of a song in their album Outlaws Till the End, Volume 1. Now, when we talk about Steve Earle generally, I'm going to talk about a little bit of his background because He's been a unique character. He almost died from drug addiction, and he's been performing right now, I think, since the early to mid 1970s. So, the native of Fort Monroe, Virginia, who basically also hails from San Antonio, has been active from 1968 to the present date. So he's in 57 years in rock. Now, born in 1955 in Fort Monroe, Virginia, his father was stationed there as an air traffic controller. The family moved to Texas for Earle's second birthday and grew up primarily in San Antonio. Now, Earle, his influences on these 1980s releases especially, began early when he learned the guitar at age 11 and entered a school talent contest at 13. He ran away from home at age 14 to search for his idol, singer-songwriter Townes Van Zandt. Earle was rebellious as a young man and dropped out of school at the age of 16. He eventually moved to Houston with his 19-year-old uncle, also a musician. While in Houston, Earle finally met Townes. Earle was opposed to the Vietnam War, as recalled in 2012. The anti-war movement was a very personal thing for me. I didn't finish high school, so I wasn't a candidate for student deferment. I was fucking going. He ended up selecting Service Act in a draft lottery in 73, prevented from being drafted, but several of his friends were, which he credits as the origin of his politicization of the left wing. Earle also noted that when he was a young man, his girlfriend was able to get an abortion, despite the fact that abortion was illegal. Her father was a doctor at a local hospital in San Antonio, where several other girls he knew at the time were not able to get abortions. They lacked access to those with the necessary power to arrange an abortion, which he credits as the origin of his pro-abortion views. Now, in 1974, at the age of 19, he moved to Nashville and began working blue-collar jobs during the day amid playing music at night. During this period, Earle wrote songs and played bass in Guy Clark's band and sang on Clark's 75 album, Old Number One. Earle appeared in the 76 film Heart-Worn Highways, a documentary on the national music scene, which included David Allan Coe, Guy Clark, Townes Van Zandt, and Rodney Crowell. You can find that on YouTube. Earle lived in Nashville for several years and assumed the position of staff songwriter at the publishing company Sunbury Dunbar. Later, Earle grew tired of Nashville and returned to Texas. We started a band called the Dukes. Now, in the 80s, he returned to Nashville once again and worked as a songwriter for the publishers Roy D. and Pat Carter. A song he co-wrote, When You Fall in Love, was recorded by Johnny Lee and made number 14 in the country charts in 82. Carl Perkins also recorded Earle's song Mustang Wine, and two of his songs were recorded by Zila Lur. Later, D and Carter created an independent record label called LSI and invited Earle to begin recording his own material on the label. Connie Smith recorded Earle's composition A Far Cry From You in 85, which reached a major minor position in the country charts. Now, his EP Pink and Black got some notice, also featuring the Dukes. Acting as Earle's manager, John Lomax sent the EP to Epic, and then he signed a record deal with CBS in 83 and recorded a non-rockabilly album. Now, after losing his publishing rights with Dia and Carter, he met producer Tony Brown, and after severing ties with Lomax and Epic Records, he had a big 7-record deal with MCA Records, and the rest is history. Guitar Town came out in MCA in 86, a big hit across North America. Title track became top 10, and the song Goodbye's All We Got Left reached a top 10 in 87. That same year, he released a compilation of earlier recordings entitled Early Tracks, an album with the Dukes called Exit Zero, which should receive, again, critical acclaim for his blend of country and rock. Now, this time he was getting bigger in Quebec and Canada, because Quebec was playing a lot of FM radio. And Steve Earle, when Copperhead Road came out, he was the ideal for that kind of Canadian market. He's never really been big, that big outside of America, except for Canada. And we love Steve Earle. We see him as one of our own, sort of like Blue Rodeo, sort of Tom Cochrane, not as rebellious, obviously. Blue Rodeo and Tom Cochrane not as rebellious. But Steve Earle, I consider him a top 20, what do you call, country rock or country rock artist of all time. I mean, Steve Earle is just tremendous. A very literate and smart guy. Survived drug addiction, survived a lot, and still here. And every time I think of Copperhead Road, that's 37 years ago. And when those fires were burning in the North Shore, the only reason we put them out, really, is the theme song was Copperhead Road. So thank you, Steve Earle, for making sure our region didn't torch up with fire. So if you like Steve Earle, if you like what you're doing here with our tributes and behind the tracks, let us know in a like, comment, subscribe, or share.